Welcome to Dream Life Design. This is the course overview. Welcome to the Dream Life model. This is what we're going to use to develop your life plan. The first half is all about unlocking your potential. We're going to start by exploring your identity and who you are as an individual. Develop a sense of inner awareness. And then we're going to do a self-evaluation and reflection and develop an outer awareness by compartmentalizing misery, bliss, and gratitude. And then we're going to develop your aspirations. So we'll really think about what the future can look like and what you're capable of, and really measuring your potential here. And then we're going to establish changes and life missions. So we're going to look at the changes you need to implement in your life in order to reduce misery, increase bliss, and strengthen gratitude. And the missions are basically the results that we're looking for by implementing these changes. And then once we've developed an outlook on life, we can set goals to achieve that outlook, those life missions, and we set those goals in priority order. And then we're going to set objectives to achieve those goals. So breaking down those objectives into research, mindset, and action objectives. So making sure that you accomplish your goals successfully. This is the second half of your life plan. So this is all about unleashing your potential and scaling up towards that dream life. So once you've arrived at a point of fulfillment, when you've really shown yourself what you're capable of and achieved the results that you set out to achieve, you're going to scale that life up by setting immediate goals, intermediate goals, and ultimate goals. So a life plan towards achieving and accomplishing those aspirations. Welcome to Lesson 3, Developing Your Aspirations. So the lesson outline, what are aspirations? We're going to look at identifying social, economic, and personal aspirations. You'll notice that they're directly related to misery, bliss, and gratitude. So how does misery develop social aspirations? How does identifying bliss develop economic aspirations? And how does identifying gratitude develop personal aspirations? And then the homework exercises is going to be centered around developing aspirations on the Dream Life Design worksheet, and then we're going to talk about navigating through life and dissecting life's experience. What are aspirations? Well, aspirations in summary are the desires that make up your dream life. What you aspire to accomplish essentially define what is going to bring you fulfillment. So they're useful for motivation and direction because aspirations allow you to think big. They help you think about the possibility of what you can achieve in your life, allow you to transcend your mindset into a future that you really want to build. They stimulate creativity, energy, they stimulate innovation, they drive the motivation to develop and set new goals. They give you the direction to move your life in. They help restore mental clarity. When you're faced with a very difficult challenge, it's your aspirations that may pull you out of that challenge and get you working through the challenge as opposed to procrastinating on it and leaving it at bay, helping you develop that sense of strength so that you can encourage the risk that you need to take in order to move your life towards the things that you aspire to accomplish and achieve personally. Remember, the ultimate aspiration is that state of self-actualization. What does self-actualization look like for you? And that's what we're going to develop with our aspirations. Remember, your aspirations are supposed to be fun and they're defined by your identity. They're basically defined by who you are as an individual. So again, they're very subjective to you. What my aspirations in life are may not necessarily be what your aspirations in life are, which is why we work with those emotional centers in order to develop the social, economic, and personal aspirations. They're possible. They're very much possible. You can accomplish these aspirations. There are many millions of people in the world who are achieving incredible things just by setting their focus and their intention to these things. So that's where aspirations really do help us move our lives towards a fulfilling experience. How do you identify social aspirations then? Well, first of all, you want to evaluate your life by misery. So understand the things that are restricting you from moving your identity and your life forward. And then basically the bulk of your personal development is to overcome that misery. Therefore, Your social aspirations are all about the things that you want to do in order to help other people overcome the same misery that you are dealing with. You've got all this energy and work that you've put into overcoming misery. What's that energy and work going to contribute to? You are essentially going to be an expert in overcoming your own misery. The challenges in your life that are restricting you, you're going to learn and develop from them. What can you do with the lessons you learn along the way? This is where social aspirations help you develop a sense of purpose, and they give you the empowerment and integrity and authority to carry them out. So if you've overcome something very personal and you've got something to share with that experience to help others, you've essentially developed a social aspiration. So start thinking about life after you've overcome the misery. So last lesson I asked you to identify misery. Look at the things that cause you misery. Think about what life will be like when you've overcome these hurdles. What teachings will you have to offer? What changes or causes can you contribute to based on your current misery? What you're currently dealing with in life, when you've overcome that stuff, what can you do with the things that you've learned? What can you contribute to? How are you going to contribute your potential? What will you stand for? So this is how you develop purpose and direction. And this is where you can really utilize your misery in order to move your life into a state of fulfillment. These challenges are really fuel for your purpose and development here. Economic aspirations, well, they're very different to your social aspirations because their purpose developed from elevating bliss. So remember, bliss was all about the things that make you feel as if you're living your life, that really make life a fulfilling and fun and engaging experience. Most of the work in your personal development is going to go towards elevating bliss. So once that bliss is elevated, what are you looking to aspire to attain? What things can you attain to grow and elevate that bliss even further? Because they give you joy, they give you freedom, they give you security. Think about magnifying that. What will it look like? How can you continue to accumulate the resources you need in order to continue elevating bliss? So what experiences will you want to achieve? Maybe today you really enjoy hiking. Maybe your economic aspiration is to climb Mount Everest. If that's the case, then you're going to need a certain set of resources, a certain set of skills and training in order to fulfill that aspiration. But it's good to identify early on so you know how you can elevate bliss even further. So remember, bliss is all about identifying your current level of bliss. When you're growing and building your life forward and having more exhilarating and more blissful experiences, where are they going to grow into? How can we direct bliss in a more fulfilling direction? So what can you achieve based on your current bliss? What can you grow into? What can you start doing as you elevate more bliss in your life? How will you enjoy your life? How do you aspire to enjoy your life? Maybe you enjoy photography, and maybe an economic aspiration is to have your own photography studio. Maybe you like to go pro at skiing. Maybe you want a really fancy car. Right now you enjoy driving. You find it a blissful experience to get in your car and go down a highway to another destination. Maybe an economic aspiration will be to do that in more abundance, maybe in a nicer car, maybe to a further destination, maybe a trip around a continent. Who knows what you're capable of? So really think about the things that really make life worthwhile, make life a worthwhile experience. Majority of the work is going to be working to elevate it, but in which direction? So start thinking about those economic aspirations, the resources you want to accumulate to really elevate bliss into a different level. Identifying personal aspirations is all about strengthening gratitude. Remember, gratitude is your identity stabilizer. So in that future life, in your dream life, you're still going to want things to help balance your identity. So what would those things look like? Maybe it's starting your own family. Maybe it's getting a pet. Maybe it's going on retreats. Maybe it's getting married and developing a relationship or family of your own. Maybe it's about going on a journey of education and developing your academic ability. It could be several different things, but these are personal to you. These are the things that you will always turn to keep you alive. So you really want to think about solidifying and strengthening your gratitude. How will you continue to appreciate your life? What personal aspirations can you develop based on what you're grateful for today? How will you maintain your appreciation for life? So start thinking about these to help you develop your personal aspirations. What do you want to live for in your future? Do you want your own family? Do you want your own culture, your own experience of life that's very unique to you? These are things that you're going to be turning to, remember, to bring you down from bliss and to raise you up from misery in the future. So your homework exercise is using the Dream Life Plan worksheet to develop your aspirations. Navigate yourself to the Aspirations tab and start developing your social, economic, and personal aspirations under the appropriate headings. I'll quickly summarize again just so that you're clear. Your social aspirations, think about life in the future, a life of greatness where you've overcome your misery and now you are contributing the things that you've learned, the lessons that you've learned to help you develop a healthier and happier life. What can you do with that information? Where can you navigate it to? Your economic aspirations, where does your bliss aspire to be? Maybe today you're an amateur hiker, maybe tomorrow you want to develop the ability to climb Mount Everest. So those are your economic aspirations, the really elevated state of bliss. Really think big, really transport yourself into the future here. And then personal aspirations. So remember, very specific to your life. What are the things that are going to keep you alive? What are the things worth living for in this dream life? Do you want to build your own family? Do you want to build your own type of culture? These are personal to you and you only. Again, all these aspirations are subjective. They're all dependent on your identity and where you want to be in life. You define what greatness is for you. And don't forget to refer to the example sheet if you have any questions, and return to the corresponding slides for any guidance as well.
My name is Terry and I'm a life coach, and today I want to talk to you about navigating your life into fulfillment. And I'm going to use this very simple children's toy here to help me explain how life works. Now what I want you to do is imagine each one of these holes here is a life experience, and each one of these pieces is our desires. Our role in life is to essentially navigate our desires to the right life experience until we find one that fits and brings us the fulfillment we're looking for. Now when I first came across this toy, I was watching my nephew play with it. He was about 18 months old at the time, and he was trying to fit this square piece into the circle hole here. And no matter how many times he tried, he just couldn't get the piece to fit. So you can imagine, he grew more frustrated, irritated, and more visibly upset. It was only when he realized that the square piece fits into the square hole was when he found the fulfillment he was looking for. He got excited, he was overcome by joy, he was incredibly happy from the experience. So now, what I want you to do is imagine anxiety. Anxiety is essentially having a desire and holding it above all these experiences and never really settling. Because you perceive that each one of these experiences is going to turn out negative. So what we essentially do is we hold on to our desires, forever worried that each experience is going to turn out is going to become a bad outcome. It's only when we settle the desire somewhere do we reduce a bit of that anxiety. It's because we learn something, and we learn not to navigate our desire to that experience again. That's when we have to pick up the desire and move it to another experience. And we keep on going until we find the right experience that's going to fit the desire we have. It's going to bring us the fulfillment we're looking for. So you can imagine how much anxiety that will reduce. One other thing I wanted to mention as well was depression. Depression is like having your desires completely kept away from any experiences that exist out there in the world, because you believe that all these experiences aren't going to fulfill the desires that you have. So essentially you lock them away. But what you need to do to alleviate a lot of depression is to carry your desires to new experiences that you don't even know exist yet. You're essentially carving out your own hole so that you can navigate your desire to somewhere that fulfills you. You need to navigate yourself through a journey of discovery and discover things that you haven't been taught yet, so you can find the fulfillment in an experience that's going to match the desires that you have. Relationships are very interesting, and they're a very good example about how life works. You know, you have this desire to find someone to fulfill you, to accept you for who you are, to love you and to share life with. And so you carry a desire to a relationship, And what happens is, because there's such a pressure to find someone, there's so many messages out there in the world telling us that we're incomplete unless we're in a relationship, that we need a relationship in order to find fulfillment. So what happens is we settle our desire on an experience that looks and appears to be the right thing for us. And essentially what happens is that, we settle our desire somewhere that doesn't fit the fulfillment or the feelings that we want to try and get fulfilled. So what happens is we grow, just like my nephew, more frustrated, more irritated, and more visibly upset with life. Only when we carry our desires and move them to another experience will we learn and get closer to the one that's going to bring us the fulfillment, until we find that relationship that brings us the feelings of joy and companionship and acceptance and love that we're looking for. The same with hobbies and interests. You keep on going through different ones until you find one that fulfills you. Your career, same thing. You carry your desire for that purpose, for a reason to wake up in the morning, to an experience that's going to fulfill you completely. I hope this video was informative, and I hope you learned something from it. If you have any questions, feel free to post them in the comments below or get in touch directly. If you want to learn anything about me or my work, read the description and you'll get linked to my website and bio. Thank you for watching the video, and I hope to see you again very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
So let's quickly recap the lesson. What are aspirations? So we're looking at identifying social, economic, and personal aspirations. So now start thinking about what life will look like after overcoming misery. Where can you aspire to take your bliss? And strengthening gratitude, what will that look like? What will you have to live for in your dream life? So think about constructing your aspirations mindfully by focusing on these emotional centers that we evaluated in the previous lesson. The homework exercise is to develop these social, economic, and personal aspirations using the worksheet. And the topic that we explored today was navigating through life, and how essentially you are in charge of your experience of fulfillment. It's just about navigating your desires to the right experience. And if you haven't found it, you keep on trying. Next lesson, we're going to look at exploring changes. We're going to establish the changes you need to make in order to reduce misery, increase bliss, and strengthen gratitude. And we're going to look at exploring the results of those changes. So you're setting your life missions. The homework exercise for next week, as you can imagine, is establishing changes and life missions on the worksheet. And the topic we're going to explore is facing your truth and how that impacts your life. Thank you for making it to the end, and I'll see you next lesson.